Thank you, Rita. Welcome to Look North with me, Carol Malia. Coming up on tonight's programme for you, pushing the government to enact Holly's Law. The mother of murdered teenager Holly Newton speaks to Look North.
We're wanting like a lasting legacy in Holly's name, but we want to try and save other young people's lives. So this will, hopefully, they will lower the law so that teenagers under the age of 16 can be recognised as a victim of domestic abuse.
A new engine plant for electric vehicles on Wearside could bring 200 jobs. Olympic horsewoman Nicola Wilson suffered life-changing injuries but is back in the sport and has been honoured for her achievements.
I wasn't sure whether it was for real or not, but oh gosh, it's such an incredible honour. I feel incredibly humbled and just so lucky and fortunate to be included.
And the 10-year-old fell runner who's county champion in not one but two counties. And Nisha has the sport for you tonight.
Yes, thanks, Carol. In football, Newcastle United's winning run continues. The Magpies move up to fourth, equalling a club record 9 victories in a row.
Hello there. This month marks the second anniversary of the death of Holly Newton, a Northumberland schoolgirl murdered by her former boyfriend. Well, yesterday in the House of Commons, the Prime Minister directly addressed her family's campaign for Holly's Law to lower the age a person can be recognised as a victim of domestic violence. Well, here's what Keir Starmer had to say in reply to a question from the Hexham MP, Joe Morris.
Will the Prime Minister and Home Secretary look urgently at the calls from Holly's mother, Michaela Trusser, to lower the age that a person can be recognised as a victim of domestic abuse?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank the honourable member for raising this tragic case? And it is a really important issue. We've seen an increase in violence in teenage relationships in the last decade. And Mr. Speaker, I've been continually shocked by research that shows that at a younger and younger age, there's abuse in relationships. So we do need to look at this at the earliest opportunity to how we properly protect girls. But I'm very grateful that this tragic case has been raised.
Well, earlier today, Holly's mother, Michaela, came into the Look North studio and told me she'll battle to have Holly's Law become a reality to protect other young women and girls. She started, though, by outlining her daughter's experience. What was it that Holly went through with Logan McPhail?
So Holly was definitely in an abusive relationship. There was a lot of coercive control. She was stalked by Logan, and there was constant messages and phone calls up to 40 times a day. A lot of them unanswered because she was at school or she was dancing, but there was, if he couldn't get an answer, it was just constant.
Do you think somebody as young as Holly was realised that it was stalking?
In the end, yes, at the very last moment, so it was the day before when obviously she'd made the comments about being stalked. I think that's when she realised how bad things had got when he'd come up to our property and was trying to gain access. But before that, no, because I don't think she had enough education around domestic abuse and knew that she was being abused.
Right, and that's partly what you're hoping to achieve with Holly's Law. Tell me about Holly's Law and what you want from that.
So Holly's Law, we're wanting like a lasting legacy in Holly's name, but we want to try and save other young people's lives. So this will, hopefully, they will lower the law so that teenagers under the age of 16 can be recognised as a victim of domestic abuse.
And what difference would that make? What difference would it have made to Holly if that had been recognised?
So Holly would have had a domestic homicide review.
Right.
So there would have been more lessons learned. At the minute, Holly's death sits under knife crime, and no lessons have been learned from Holly's death, unfortunately. It just goes down as another knife crime statistic, and it really needs a homicide review.
There's more to it.
Yes, there's so much more to it.
So yesterday, having Holly's name raised in the House of Commons and addressed directly by the Prime Minister, must have been an emotional moment for you, Michaela, and obviously a breakthrough.
Yes, it was, yes, but it's so important, and we've, you know, it's coming up to the 2-year anniversary, and we've been pushing this now for 2 years, and we will keep pushing until we get where we need to be.
OK, well, Michaela, as a mum of a 15-and-a-half-year-old, I thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. And I should say, Michaela and her husband Lee, Holly's stepfather, are going into local schools to educate young people about healthy, positive relationships with their charity, Holly's Hope. A stab wound which killed a 14-year-old girl during an alleged play fight with her father was practically impossible to have been caused by a thrown knife, a court's heard. Scarlett Vickers died at home in Darlington in July. Her father, Simon Vickers, denies murder. Peter Harris is at Teesside Crown Court. What was the jury told today then, Peter?
Well, Carol, a reminder of the background to this case. Scarlett Vickers suffered an 11-centimetre knife wound to the chest. The prosecution allege her father, Simon Vickers, did so deliberately. The defence say, in fact, it was a tragic accident, that they'd been mucking about, they'd been throwing utensils, and that the father thought he was throwing a spatula. It was, in fact, a knife. So today the jury heard from a pathologist, Jennifer Bolton, and she told the jurors it was practically impossible the wound Scarlett suffered would have been caused by a thrown knife. Instead, she concluded the knife would have been held tightly with a firm grip. She said that Scarlett would have lost consciousness and died within minutes. Now, the jury also heard today from police and paramedics. One of the police officers reported that the father appeared to have been drinking, that he smelled of alcohol. It was also said that he became hysterical and distraught, and the jurors were told that he'd said this. He'd said, "I want to die, I don't believe it, I love her." Now, Simon Vickers denies the murder and manslaughter of his daughter Scarlett, and the trial here at Teesside Crown Court continues. Carol.
Thank you, Peter. OK, now let's have a look at some more of today's stories, which can also be found on the BBC News app. Gateshead Council has said it doesn't know how many people's personal data was stolen in a cyber attack last week. Affected residents are now being contacted. 2 hunts have been issued with a warning by Cumbria Police regarding antisocial behaviour. They are Blencathra foxhounds and Melbreck foxhounds. And visitors to Camas Beach in Northumberland have been impressed by some unexpected artwork. It's beautiful, isn't it? The unidentified artist left behind a stone spiral and balancing tower of stones. Those stories and more are on the BBC News app and online. Now, a vote of confidence in Sunderland is how the announcement of a major new factory creating parts for Nissan cars has been described. Japanese firm Jatco will move into the former Nightingale Hospital building near the Nissan plant and aims to start production next year, with the promise of nearly 200 new jobs. Jim Scott sent this report.
A new neighbour for a factory capable of making 500,000 cars every year. Another firm has made its way from Japan across the road from Nissan, where it will create components for its electric cars.
It is my pleasure to be able to announce the establishment of Jatco UK in Sunderland.
And today, the scissors were out to mark the start of a new era.
The European market is originally manual transmission is very popular, but we are automatic transmission makers, so therefore we didn't have any chance to establish a company in European market.
We convey our vision for a new future, from Fuji to the world.
Jatco, which is 75% owned by Nissan, will start production at its first factory in the UK and Europe next year. Here, it will make 340,000 powertrains, which integrates electric motors instead of engines each year, and create work.
This has been in the pipeline for a while. We've worked on it for a number of years. We're absolutely delighted to land a deal. 183 jobs, brand new inward investment into Sunderland from Jatco. Absolutely amazing news.
Great local jobs for the people of the North East right here in Sunderland, in an industry that is synonymous with our past but is also about our big plans for the future.
Well, today's announcement comes as Nissan last year planned to shelve 9,000 jobs across the globe amid falling sales and a potential merger with another car giant. Nissan hasn't yet commented on how those cuts would affect Sunderland.
This investment is a great example of their commitments to the UK. The government will always work shoulder to shoulder with the private sector to help on its number one growth mission. Really working with the private sector is a key aspect of that, and Nissan is a shining example.
But Jatco isn't Nissan's only neighbour. Another gigafactory which will produce batteries for its electric vehicles is set to open soon. So it seems, despite some uncertainty, all the ingredients are there to keep the cars rolling off the production line on Wearside. Jim Scott, BBC Look North, Sunderland.
Evening river crossings on the Shields ferry between North and South Shields will resume from Monday, says operator Nexus. This means the ferry timetable will return to normal after it was changed at the end of last year due to limited availability of crew. Evening crossings run until 8 p.m. from Monday to Wednesday and until 10:40 p.m. from Thursday to Saturday. Sunday services are unchanged. We're staying with transport. More than 50,000 people used the new Northumberland line during its first month of operation. The £300 million rail route links Ashington to Newcastle and reopened in December, 60 years after its closure. Trains currently stop at Seaton Delaval and Manners, but 4 more stations will open later this year. Now, an MP has raised the plight of former miners who say they feel forgotten despite a government announcement promising better pensions for those from the industry. Chancellor Rachel Reeves announced last year that surplus cash from the miners' pension scheme would be handed over to members, but it does not extend to a separate fund which covers nearly 4,000 pensioners in the North East. Yesterday, Easington Labour MP Graham Morris raised it with the Prime Minister, who pledged to keep him informed. A bird of prey which had been trapped under netting on a building for 5 days was freed today. The female sparrowhawk had been caught under netting on the bank in Thirsk since Saturday. Locals were concerned for her welfare and it was feared she would die, but the North Yorkshire Fire Service arrived. Hurrah, to cut her free just this lunchtime. Now you're watching Look North. Still to come, Nisha's here in a moment with Newcastle United's 9th victory on the trot, and Paul has a milder weather forecast for us. Plus, Olympic silver medalist Nicola Wilson suffered life-changing injuries but is back in the sport she loves, and she's been honoured for her achievements.
I wasn't sure whether it was for real or not, but oh gosh, it's such an incredible honour. I feel incredibly humbled and just so lucky and fortunate to be included.
So here's Nisha now. Nisha, Alan Shearer has well and truly stuck his neck way out today, hasn't he? Or last night?
Well, he was coerced slightly in the Match of the Day studio,
It was
Carol.
coerced, OK.
But, you know, the form Newcastle are in, it might be wishful thinking, but, you know, let's see.
I'm staying out of it.
Newcastle United's record goal scorer Alan Shearer says his beloved Magpies now have a chance of being in the Premier League's title race. He made the comment on Match of the Day as Eddie Howe's men equalled a club record 9 wins in a row in all competitions after beating Wolves 3-0 at St James's Park last night. And continuing his stunning form was starman Alexander Isak. Deflection. In the second half, he made it 2. He's now Newcastle's first player to score in 8 consecutive Premier League games.
I feel amazing, I feel free and I feel confident. But yeah, looking at the team as well, I think we're doing so well defensively, defending our goal, and then we have threats going forward. So I think mainly it's a team thing, and obviously happy to keep contributing.
I don't think we managed the last phase of the game well enough, but overall, I can't be too picky. It's 9 wins in a row. We're in a really good place, and now another massive game to come.
Some other football news, and striker Aaron Connolly has left Sunderland by mutual consent and joined Millwall. Now to rugby union. Newcastle Falcons are in European action tomorrow at Kingston Park, taking on French giants Montpellier. Falcons have lost all 3 of their Challenge Cup games so far and can't qualify for the knockout stages. But director of rugby Steve Diamond says he'll put out a strong side with plenty to work on, with them being back in Premiership action next weekend.
Ultimately, the performance is more important than the result to a certain extent moving forward, because we can't qualify. But we're just going to make sure our defence is right. You know, we've worked at it, we worked hard at it, and we just have a couple of lapses which end up with the results being 30 points to 15 instead of 22-15. Our attack We've stressed to the squad again today about getting it into the wide channels to the wingers, letting them have a run. We've got plenty of pace out there.
Staying with rugby union, England women's new captain Zoe Aldcroft from North Yorkshire believes the Red Roses can achieve something phenomenal going into this year's Six Nations and World Cup. The second row, who was born in Scarborough, replaces Marley Packett as skipper as England look to win a fourth successive Women's Six Nations Grand Slam. Aldcroft is also expected to lead the Red Roses into the World Cup, with England's opening game against the United States at the Stadium of Light in August.
I am so motivated to kind of drive this team to where we want to go, and I think I'm surrounded by so many great leaders in the leadership team and also just the girls in general. We've got so many great individuals, and I think just being able to be supported by the likes of Marley, the likes of Meg is incredible, and I think we can really drive this team to something phenomenal.
Now, it's a small football team in Northumberland which became famous around the world when an American billionaire decided to invest in the club. But 15 years on from those heady days, Bedlington Terriers of the Northern League say their future is under threat because the local council is blocking ground improvement plans. Well, Andrew Hartley is there for us now. Andrew.
Yeah, Nisha, welcome to Dr. Pitt Welfare Park, home of Bedlington Terriers of the Northern League Second Division, a club which in the 1990s reached the second round of the FA Cup and even made it to Wembley for an FA Vase final, and it was thrust back into the limelight when an American billionaire, appropriately named Bob Rich, decided to invest in the club after tracing his ancestral links to the town and how the club could do with his money now. And here's the problem. 3 years ago, the club secured a loan of £600,000 from a social investment fund to lay an artificial pitch. But the whole project has just got delayed and delayed because the club cannot secure a lease deal with Northumberland County Council, and the club is just not happy with the council.
Keep saying it's not them, but they are the landlords. And I've been here 30-odd years. I've maintained this ground. All the fencing, cutting the pitches, building the stands, painting the stands. I've done everything. Out my own pocket. I've never asked the council for 1 penny piece. All we want is simply give us a 25-year lease and let us go forward for the community of Bedlington.
Well, the club says it's on the same side as the council. The council says it's on the same side as the club, I should say. And it says the reason for the delay is that land has charitable status, which massively restricts its use.
We actually couldn't block it, even if we wanted to, because there are other people involved. It's taken far too long. It's taken far too many conversations and phone calls and meetings and goodness knows what else. The club have been incredibly patient. It's incredibly frustrating. If we could make it happen tomorrow, it would happen tomorrow. But until we get the agreement of the other parties involved, we can do nothing. Our hands are tied.
So the club believes the affair has gone on so long, the offer of a loan has probably expired. No wonder the Terriers feel like the underdogs. Back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. The Olympic event rider Nicola Wilson, who was made an MBE in the New Year's Honours, says the award is for everyone who's helped her to recover after a life-changing accident. She had to give up riding 2 years ago after a fall at the badminton horse trials led to spinal injuries. Now she's forging a new career, helping other riders to reach their potential. Sally Hurst reports.
A fabulous rider for the team, hasn't she, for the rider from North Yorkshire?
Oh, yes. It was a highly successful eventing career that took Nicola Wilson all over the world. She won a silver medal at the London Olympics and was European individual champion. But this year, being awarded the MBE came as a complete surprise.
Well, disbelief, to be honest, and I wasn't sure whether it was for real or not. But, oh gosh, it's such an incredible honour. I feel incredibly humbled and just so lucky and fortunate to be included.
It's a little more than 2 years since Nicola fell from her horse during the badminton horse trials. She sustained serious spinal injuries and spent months in hospital.
When it all goes horribly wrong one day, you never plan for sort of disasters like that, and to be in a hospital bed and being paralysed from the neck down over, not being able to swallow, breathe, or do anything. You sort of think, where is life going to go from here? How is this going to pan out? I just prayed that I would be able to walk again, that I'd be able to have a quality of life with my husband, and that I'd be able to earn a living. And how incredibly fortunate that I can do those three things. Ride one rhythm, one balance. Better. Good.
And now she's forging ahead with a new career as a coach.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I've always enjoyed coaching anyway, and as I said, so many people have helped support and coach me over the years to help me realise my dream, and it's so lovely to be a very small part of other riders' dreams and hopefully making them come true too.
Do you ever stop and reflect how far you've come?
I often stop and think, wow, how lucky am I? I'm so lucky. This MBE isn't really just for me. This is for everybody that has helped me get, have the success that I had with the horses. Then through my recovery, the doctors, the nurses, the occupational therapists, the physios, and then your friends. This MBE is for those people that actually reach out and go, we're here to help if we can.
This is an MBE that recognises the achievements of a successful sporting past.
And you've got her connected. That will give her confidence.
And celebrates the beginnings of a new coaching future for one of equestrian's brightest stars. Sally Hurst, BBC Look North, Northallerton.
Incredible recovery.
Yeah.
Now a 10-year-old fell runner. Say that again. 10-year-old fell runner from North Yorkshire is being called a star of the future after winning the Under-11 West Yorkshire Cross Country League. McCallum is also North Yorkshire champion.
He trains 3 times a week in all weathers on the fells near his home in the Yorkshire Dales. Well, we've been out training with Callum and his family.
I'm Callum, I'm 10 years old, and I've just won the West Yorkshire series races. When I'm running, I just try either get to the next person, or if I'm running, just maintain the pace and keep going forwards.
Fell running's the main sport. We go to most weekends. We'll be somewhere up and down the Dales or in the Lake District, doing it as a family.
Very competitive in everything we do. It's always a race. On Monday, sometimes I go for a steady jog when I feel like it or something. Tuesdays is Settle Harriers, and then on Thursday, sometimes I go for a run with my dad. My brother's won quite a lot. At Mile, he came second to me. When you run, you forget about the stuff that happened before.
We're really proud of Callum, of all his achievements. To be a #1 North Yorkshire runner and #1 West Yorkshire runner is an amazing achievement. And he puts in the hard work, he's dedicated, and I'm sure he's one to watch for the future.
I want to compete for my country and my county, and yeah.
It's just the enjoyment for us that's the main thing, and then whatever comes is an added bonus really, whether that be a county vest or an international vest in the future, we'll just have to see.
Wow, and did you notice?
Shorts.
Shorts, yeah, and not a mobile phone between them. That's another story, isn't it? Right, Paul, the weather. I think we're quite settled at the moment.
Well, yeah, some ups and downs there, and some ups and downs in tonight's weather pictures as well, as I'll show you. We start off with an up. It was the moonrise on the Northumberland coast in mixed shot there. Some lovely colours as well. Another up earlier on this morning. The early morning mist was rising up in Lower Teesdale in Nick shot. And we finish with a down as the sun dips below the horizon at Kilburn in North Yorkshire, and Jessica shot. Some lovely cirrus clouds above there. Now, over the next few days, high pressure stays in charge. It will keep things mostly dry, but things will turn a bit colder as we head through the weekend, and we'll have some issues with low cloud and mistiness as well. So we head into this evening after a lovely day today with unbroken blue skies for many. We start to see bits and pieces of low cloud drifting in from the west and up from the south as we head through the night. Now some eastern areas will keep clear skies through the night, but many places will turn rather murky. Underneath that low cloud, the temperatures will hold up around 2 or 3 Celsius, but where you keep the clearer skies, Darlington maybe a case in point there, a touch of frost down to about -1 Celsius. So a bit of a grey start for some tomorrow. There will be a few sunny spells though where the skies have stayed clear overnight, and eastern areas favourite to hang on to them through the day. Probably not as much blue sky though as there was today, and most western places will hang on to fairly cloudy skies. Just 1 or 2 breaks appearing where you get a bit of shelter from the high ground. A little bit cooler tomorrow. We're looking at temperatures typically 8 to 10 Celsius at very best in the south to southwesterly breeze. Now we've got low pressure, high pressure rather, to the south of us, and as we head into the weekend, that southerly breeze starts to drag in some cooler air from the continent, so you will notice through the weekend it will feel a whole lot cooler. And then towards the end of the weekend, weather fronts start to push in from the west, introducing a milder southwesterly wind as we head into the start of next week. So tomorrow, that low cloud and mistiness lingering in a few places. 1 or 2 bright spells breaking through though. And as we head into Saturday, said it'd be colder, 5 Celsius at best on Saturday. Again, some low cloud and mist lingering. If anything, could be colder still on Sunday before the temperatures rise again on Monday. Carol.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. That's it from the team here this evening for now. Megan Patterson has your late update, which is usually around about 10:30, give or take a minute or two. Join her then if you can. Have a lovely evening in the meantime. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.